Welcome learners to this mini lecture on England's belated leadership from pages 151 to 153 of Lewis Mumford's Technics and Civilization. The Industrial Revolution that most people think of when they hear that term is actually the Second Industrial Revolution, or the Paleotechnic phase. Mumford considers the Eotechnic phase as a primary industrial revolution, and I might add that not only Mumford, but there are other people, experts who study techniques and technology and the history of technology that also consider that to be the primary industrial revolution. Many high school social studies classes kind of disregard the primary industrial revolution as an actual phase or a stage, something that is going on, from the first, second century up on to about 1750. So I just wanted to clear that up for any social studies teachers out there. And also, following this logic, when we get to the Neotechnic phase, which many would call in their study of the Industrial Revolution the Second Industrial Revolution, it'll actually be the Third Industrial Revolution, which, as we just said, Mumford calls the Neotechnic phase. And as we study these different phases and look at characteristics, hopefully throughout the class you're thinking of our current era and trying to kind of classify where you think we might fit currently into techniques and civilization. The Eotechnic phase laid the foundation for the Second Industrial Revolution really by transforming three things. One, transforming our mode of thinking. Two, the means of production. And three, the manner of living. Consequently, the Second Industrial Revolution receives much of the credit that should be assigned to the Eotechnic phase or primary industrial revolution. Mumford made this point earlier in the learning session, in learning session 2 reading, when he wrote, "The notion that a handful of British inventors suddenly made the wheels hum in the 18th century is too crude even to dish up as a fairy tale to children." So once again, we're brought back to that idea that the Eotechnic phase was a period leading up to and setting the stage for this Second Industrial Revolution, which is going to be led by Britain. And Great Britain did lead the Second Industrial Revolution, and that revolution had its greatest impact in that nation. But what some people don't realize is that this should have been somewhat of a surprise, since for much of the Eotechnic phase, England was one of the most backward countries in Western Europe. Perhaps the Paleotechnic phase took root there so quickly because the seeds of the Eotechnic phase had not been sown as they had in other regions of Western Europe. So as we look at a summary, make sure to complete the threaded discussion post in the Generating and Testing Hypotheses folder in Learning Session 4. Also, make sure to answer the assessment question corresponding to this mini lecture found in the assessment folder in Learning Session 4. As always, if you have any questions or problems, please contact your instructor. This time, I'd like to thank you for watching and listening to this mini lecture.